Hi everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Welcome to my third gardening video of 2025. Today I'm going to do some gardening outdoors in the dead of winter. Am I nuts? Well, maybe just a little bit. But I'm going to do some winter sowing and I'll show you exactly how easy it is to do this unusual type of seed starting. Winter sowing is a method that doesn't seem like it should work. After all, you're planting seeds in containers, you're setting them outside where they're going to be exposed to all kinds of frigid temperatures, rain, snow, hail, you name it. And the seeds germinate when the time is right, and you've got all kinds of lovely plants with a minimal amount of effort. There are 4 reasons that I really like winter sowing. The first one is the best. It lets me do some gardening at the time of year where I'm just itching to be outside, planting something, seeing things growing, and so on. So it serves that need right there. The second reason is that it frees up space under our grow lights for plants that really should be started indoors. The third reason is you don't have to harden off your seedlings after they've sprouted, which means gradually acclimating them to the sunlight because they're already outside and they're already used to the sunlight. And then the last reason is that you don't have to worry about the nasty fungal disease that causes damping off. And that's something that wipes out a whole bunch of seedlings very quickly. That is not an issue with winter sowing. Are you interested? Let me show you how it works. Now, first of all, I should mention that I had fully intended to shoot this video outside because that's what I usually do. However, it is very damp and cold outside. It's occasionally snowing, so I decided to do this from the comfort of the indoors. Most folks tend to use the 1-gallon plastic milk jugs, and I'll show you how to prepare them before planting. But if you're at the grocery store and you bought some salad mix, you could use that for a container. Or if you bought a roasted chicken, you could use that. The main thing is you need some type of a lid for your container. You're going to need plant tags to note what you planted in each jug or container, and obviously something to write on the tags with. You're definitely going to need seeds. And then some type of tape. Now, it doesn't have to be this wide, but I really like to use the blue painter's tape. You could use shipping tape or masking tape. And then, of course, you're going to need lightly moistened seed starting mix or potting soil. How do you know which seeds will work for the winter sowing method? Well, you can start just about any seeds, but here's how I approach it. I don't start warm season crops such as tomatoes, peppers, or eggplants with this method. That's because I want to start them indoors well before the danger of frost has passed, so they're off to a great start when it's safe to plant them outdoors. I also don't use the winter sowing method for basil because it is a cold weather wimp. And I don't use it for carrots, parsnips, or turnips because they don't like their roots to be disturbed. But otherwise, I've started flower, herb, and vegetable seeds with the winter sowing method and have had really good luck with it. So here's what I'm going to start this year with the winter sowing method. I've got a really cool tall orange marigold, white poppies, arugula, kale, parsley, straw flowers, a type of Rudbeckia or Gloriosa daisy called Sahara, gorgeous cosmos that has apricot colored flowers, that's apricota, a type of lupin, a mix of zinnias, and some cupcake cosmos seeds that I saved a while back. All right, how do you prepare the containers? So if you're using a 1-gallon plastic milk jug, what you want to do is make a cut to the left of where this handle is and cut all the way around and stop right before the handle starts again. And that way you can open this up to plant your seeds and to check on the seedlings later. You also want to punch drainage holes in the bottom of the container And at the very top, you will not need the lid because you need rain and snow to go in there. It's totally okay. If you're doing one that has a handle quite a bit higher, I would just make a cut in a similar fashion about halfway up the jug, and then you can get into it this way. Again, you also want the drainage holes in the bottom and some punched holes in the top to allow that moisture to come in. If you're using a different kind of container, make sure that you put holes in the bottom and in the top. To plant the container, you're going to put about 3 inches of potting soil or germination mix in. And again, it does need to be lightly moistened. And then just press it down a little bit so it's firmer. That's pretty good. I'm going to put some Russian kale seeds in here. Of course, you won't be able to see them hit the soil because they're the same color. But the one thing I remember from last year is I planted a whole bunch of seeds in here of the red Russian kale, and every single one germinated, and I had way more plants than I needed. So I'm not going to plant quite as many this year. And I'm just sprinkling them onto the soil surface. That should be plenty. The seed packet indicated that I should cover the seeds with 1/4 inch of soil, so I did that. And the next step is to put the plant tag inside the container. I'll also be writing the name of what's in here on the outside of the container, but sometimes that washes off during the course of a winter. So this is my insurance that I will always know what's in each container. Sometimes seedlings are a little hard to recognize. Now it's time to seal the container. And I do it in steps to make it easier. Just hold this in place for starters. And then I'll wrap the tape around the perimeter of the jug. This is always hard to do with 2 hands. And to mark it on the outside. There you are. Okay, so there's all 12 jugs planted up. What about placement? Well, the thing with winter sowing is that you want your containers out in the open. You don't want them underneath an overhang of your roof or the eaves of your roof. You want them to get hit by rain and snow and so on. So I always like to put mine on the south side of one of my raised beds. It's a good spot that will get a lot of sunshine when the time comes. And it has always worked really well for me. So I'm going to get these in place, and then I have a really important tip to share with you for later in the process. I also want to mention that if you're in a really windy area, an idea you might want to use is to put some boards or bricks or something just to stabilize the containers a bit. You'll want to check on your plantings from time to time, make sure they're doing okay. And if you're having a particularly dry winter, you'll definitely want to water the container. The goal with the soil is to be lightly moist, not bone dry, not sopping wet. The other thing I wanted to mention is that when your seedlings start sprouting and they grow a bit, it's traditional for folks to cut a little window in the top half of the jugs or the top half of your containers because you're trying to give them more air circulation and also give them a little bit more room to grow. The problem with this is that once you do that, you won't be able to recycle the jug for next year's winter sowing projects, and I don't like that. So I wanted to show you a photo that I took last spring of my solution to that. As you can see, I just took a small stake and propped open the lid, and it worked absolutely perfectly. So that's the way I like to do things. I do hope that you'll give winter sowing a try. It's great fun. It's a lovely thing to get to do this time of year. Thanks so much for watching today, everybody. Happy gardening.